Switch Radio Sport. This is Switch.
Worcester City win that game and they will be in Division 1 Midlands next season.
Chance in Paul Job's got a chance in the penalty, gets shot in and goes to the back of the net, and Cheyenne Jarvis gets the second goal for Leaford Athletic this afternoon, found space in the 6-yard box.
Back to the edge of the penalty area with the pass, crossing towards the back post, headed goalwards and in!
That's a great shot from De Castro! Oh, what a save for Gray! And Winkin 2-0!
Stourbridge have won the Division 1 Midlands title.
The Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio.
Good evening, welcome along to the Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio. This is your home for all things third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League. My name is Chris Gadsby. I'm here every week bringing you the very latest from those 6 divisions of the FA Women's National League and the 72 teams within them. And we have got so much to discuss on this week's show. A full programme of games to run down, a full programme of games to preview, and we've even got those all elusive league tables for you as well. Plus, dramatic news from Burnley that shook the FAWNL world this week, and you'll hear from the Worcester City head coach Matt Jones after his side picked up their first win of the campaign at the weekend.
It was really pleasing that as a squad we've been able to see the game through and not only win the game and secure our first 3 points, but a clean sheet as well, which is credit to the whole team.
You'll hear more from him, plus captain and vice-captain Jessica Fassnidge and Cerys Dolloway later in the show on the Women's Football Chat with you until 6. Yes, welcome along to this week's episode of the Women's Football Chat here on Switch Radio with you for the next hour or so, bringing you all the very latest from the FA Women's National League. And we're going to start with that huge news coming out of Burnley this week. And they say they are disappointed to confirm women's team manager Matt Beard has resigned from his position to pursue other opportunities. He has been placed by Burnley on 3 months gardening leave with immediate effect, and that the search for his replacement is already underway. In the meantime, first team coach Louise Roberts will step in as interim manager, with fellow first team coach Liam Gilbert assisting her during this period. The chairman, Alan Pace, has said they are naturally very disappointed with Matt's decision, but we are already looking positively to the future to ensure we remain on track to achieve our objectives for the 25-26 season and beyond. Whilst our recruitment process continues, we have full confidence in Louise, Liam and Paul, ably supported by Lola Ogumbote, the women's head of football, to continue moving Burnley FC women's team forward in a positive direction. This is a tweet that has had over 250,000 views, loads of likes, reposts. It's really hit a lot of people. Now, Burnley have said he's resigned to pursue other opportunities. They then have said they've placed him on gardening leave. Who really knows? Well, only Burnley really know what's going on in that situation. But there are questions. Firstly, what on earth happened if he's pursuing other opportunities, but there's no commitment there to see it through with Burnley? Only 3 competitive games in, having that draw with Wolves last weekend, which we'll get onto later on. Where does this leave Burnley? Are Burnley going to fall by the wayside pretty quickly? We know in the FAWNL, if you're fighting for a title, you can't really afford to drop that many points. Probably only 10 over the course of the season. Where does that leave Burnley going into this weekend? Are Loughborough Lightning now going to be chomping at the bit to have a go at Burnley and try and take some points away from them as well? And I said, what does that mean for the Northern Premier Division title race? Does it mean that it's advantage Wolves? Wolves, of course, have still got to go out and get the points on the board, but Burnley are the biggest threat to them, you would say, over the course of the 25-26 season. Are they still going to be as big of a threat? A lot of the players that went into that club probably went into that club thinking, well, we've got a very good squad, we've got a very good coach. This is going to be a title fight. If the coach has now gone, is it going to be as much of a title fight? Are we then going to be looking at leaving Burnley? And are they not going to play for the badge as much? It's going to be such a big question surrounding Burnley this season now, is that what are they going to be able to achieve? Is this a massive problem for them, or does it not really matter? Only time's going to tell with that one. But it is news that it came out and everyone kind of went, what do you mean he's left? We're 2 weeks into the season, not even that. So it's left big shockwaves around, particularly the Northern Premier Division, and it'll be really interesting to see what happens with that. Other bits of news from this week. I'm going to go to Lincoln United because they have announced a new head coach. Alex Brito Nogueira is the new head coach of Lincoln United. Has extensive track record in women's football, most recently with Everton's under-16 side. Also roles with Lichfield City, Doncaster Rovers, Bells and Aston Villa. So is that going to turn around Lincoln City's fortunes over the course of Lincoln United's fortunes over the course of the season? As it stands at the minute, they're already bottom of the table, 2 games played, a goal difference of -11. Is he going to be able to come in and turn that around for Lincoln United? It's going to be an interesting one to look out for that over the next few weeks. Similarly, in the Southern Premier Division, Billericay Town, Howard Mackler is Billericay Town's new manager ahead of this weekend's games. Billericay Town also haven't had the best of starts. 2 games played, bottom of the table, a -14 goal difference, not helped by this weekend, which of course we'll get onto in a few moments. But again, 2 changes in managerial. We knew this was going to happen because they went into the season without a head coach stroke manager stroke, whatever you want to call them these days. And it is shown in the first couple of games of the season, a -11 goal difference for Lincoln United, -14 goal difference for Billericay Town. It has shown. But is this now going to turn it around? If you're going to bring a new person in, it's great to do it this early in the season because you're going to need to, because you're already 6 points away from the top of the table and you don't want the gaps between yourselves and safety to get any bigger than they already are, really. So for Billericay Town and for Lincoln United, new managers stroke head coaches, and we'll see if that makes the difference that they want it to make. Right. That's the news really from this last week of the FA Women's National League. We will therefore move on and look at the results and tables from the last 7 days. We'll start with the Northern Premier Division with Derby County losing to Loughborough Lightning by 2-1. goals in this one. Loughborough getting a great win here. Jessica Collier in the 20th minute, Lucy Cooper in the 86th. There was a consolation goal in the 96th minute from Kate Oakley for Derby, but Loughborough Lightning back into tier 3, and it's taken just 2 games for them to get their first win with that win over Derby County. Halifax 2, Stoke City 0. This is a superb result for Halifax against Stoke City, who were tipped to be in amongst it by the end of the season. They've dropped 3 points against a team that probably they ought not to have done. Chung Chang in the 26th minute for Halifax, backed up by Phoebe Hollin in the 69th, has given them that 2-0 win. Hull City 4, West Bromwich Albion 1. A brace in this one for Hope Knight for Hull City, 2 for her. Ellie Tanser 32 minutes and Erin Nicholson in the 60th minute with the 4 goals for Hull City. West Bromwich Albion struggling to start this season with Phoebe Warner the only goal for them in the 64th minute. A goalless draw between Middlesbrough and Rugby Borough. Sporting Cowser losing to Liverpool Feds by 2-1. Feds took the lead early in this one. Chloe Fisher in the 4th minute before Macy Winters equalised for Cowser in the 35th. Just after the hour mark, though, Katie Anderson popped up for Liverpool Feds with their winning goal on the week that they've announced their new stadium as well. And then the big game in the Northern Premier Division, Wolverhampton Wanderers against Burnley, played out a 0-0 draw. So neither side in this big title race getting really the advantage over the other. What it means for the Northern Premier Division table, who would have had this on their bingo card at the start of the season? Hull City, top of the table with 2 wins from 2. The only side in the Northern Premier Division to take 2 wins out of 2. Rugby Borough in 2nd, Burnley 3rd, Wolves 4th, Loughborough Lightning 5th, all with 1 win and 1 draw. Halifax in 6th, Stoke City in 7th, and Liverpool Feds in 8th, all with 1 win to their name. West Bromwich Albion and Middlesbrough with a point from their first 2 games. Sporting Cowser in 11th, yet to get off the mark, and Derby County at the bottom of the table with no points, a goal difference of -7 already from their 2 games. They find themselves at the bottom of the Northern Premier Division table. Let's go to the Southern Premier Division then. Alluded to it earlier, a big defeat for Billericay Town. They lose by 8-1 at home to Gwalior United. 4 goals for Corey Williams-Mills, 16th minute, 17th minute, 45 plus 3 and 53rd minute. So 4 goals for Corey Williams-Mills and 1 each for Ellie Mae Sanford, Tia Asker and Cassie Gregson, 41st, 43rd and 45th minute respectively. So Gwalior United, they were 6 up at half time. The goals in the second half for them, as I said, to Corey Williams. There's one for Eliza Colley as well, 15 minutes from time. Billericay Town's only goal of the game coming to Erica Lampek. And they lose by 8-1. Exeter City lost at home to Lewis by 2-1. Leah Lane in the 3rd minute had put Lewis up early on. Rebecca Truitt in the 10th minute also scored for Lewis. So 2 really early goals for the away side. Exeter City through Sarah Stacey, their only goal of the game. But Lewis coming out 2-1 winners. Oxford United get a 1-1 draw with AFC Wimbledon. Probably you look at this and go great point for Wimbledon away from home. Adele Lindbeck in the 52nd minute put Oxford in front, but Hannah Mackenzie in the 56th minute brought AFC Wimbledon back level, and that's how it stayed. Real Bedford 1, Cheltenham Town 4, another away win for Cheltenham Town. The away teams really having the better of the Southern Premier Division last weekend. Clarabella Hall in the 11th minute, Emile Curtis in the 13th minute, Libby Bell 58th and Guamara Tasham in the 85th minute for Cheltenham Town. Only goal for Real Bedford coming to Lucy Wood in the 72nd minute. And 2 late kickoffs in the Southern Premier Division. Hashtag United losing to AFC Bournemouth by 2-1. A late winner here for Bournemouth. Hashtag had taken the lead through Angela Nelson-Lai in the 25th minute. Jenna Markham quickly equalised for Bournemouth in the 27th. Kelsey Bowers in the 90th minute gave Bournemouth a 2-1 win. And Plymouth Argyle made the long trip to Watford, only for a brace from Madison Perry to give the home side all 3 points. 23rd and 52nd minute for those. What that means for the Southern Premier Division table, AFC Bournemouth, the only side, still with a 100% record. They're in first on 6 points. Watford, Lewis and Oxford United all in second, third and fourth with 4 points each. Then a long list. Gwalior United, Cheltenham Town, Exeter City, Plymouth Argyle and Real Bedford all with 1 win and 1 defeat. Gwalior United head that pack after that 7-goal margin of victory against Billericay Town has given them a goal difference of 6. They're a long way ahead on goal difference of the rest of the teams on 3 points. AFC Wimbledon on their own in 10th with 1 point. Hashtag United in 11th, yet to get off the mark. And then Billericay Town, as we've previously mentioned, bottom of the table on -14 for their goal difference. Let's go through to Division 1 North. Division 1 North had, again, some great results in it for some sides. Wythenshawe, the most notable one, which we'll get onto in a few moments. We'll start, though, with Cheadle Town Stingers beating Huddersfield Town by 2-1. Jessica Gillen in the 19th minute, and then Rachel Dunlop popping up in the stoppage time at the end of the second half to get them the winner after Huddersfield had taken the lead for a Cheadle Town own goal in the 13th minute. So a very late winner for Cheadle Town at home to Huddersfield. Chester Street Town, though, losing by 2-0 at home to Leeds United. Alice Hughes in the 9th minute and Catherine Smith in the 86th minute with the goals for Leeds United. A thriller of a game between Chorley and Stockport County. Stockport County's goals coming to Abigail Podmore in the 44th minute and Jess Battle in the 54th and the 81st minute. A big 5-goal game, though, between those sides, because Chorley scored 2 themselves but only lost by 3-2. Goals in that game for Chorley. They went to Faye Stanhope and Nicola Worthington in what was a very back and forth game between those two sides. Not such, though, between Doncaster Rovers Bells and York City. Doncaster Rovers winning by 5-0. A brace for Abigail Colley in the 46th and the 55th minute. Leila Abadi in the 58th. Jodie Gregory in the 57th minute. Plus an own goal in the 24th minute made it a bit of a bad trip for York City to Doncaster. Durham Sestra beat Blackburn Rovers by 1-0. Francesca Ward in the 52nd minute gave Durham Sestra the 1-0 win. And then Wythenshawe, late goals from Wythenshawe, overturning Norton Stockton Ancients at home for their first FAWNL win. The Anchor Owens in the 20th minute had put Norton in front, and they held that until the 88th minute when Kirsty Chambers scored the first of what would be 2 fantastic goals for Wythenshawe. Seen them, they are fantastic goals in the 88th minute, and then popped up with the winner in the 92nd minute, and Wythenshawe take all 3 points. For the Division 1 North table, then 2 teams with a 100% record so far: Stockport County and Cheadle Town Stingers. Leeds United in third, having drawn 1 and won 1. They are on 4 points. Then there are 6 teams on 3. Doncaster Rovers Bells, Huddersfield Town, Durham Sestra, Norton Stockton Ancients, Wythenshawe and York City. Chorley are in 10th with 1 point from their first 2 games. Then Blackburn Rovers in 11th, yet to get off the mark, as are Chester Street Town. They have both got a goal difference of -3. Division 1 Midlands then. Kidderminster Harriers are finding themselves on the wrong side of results. 1-0 they lose to Northampton Town in this one. That goal for Northampton Town coming to Chloe Finn against Kidderminster Harriers. They fall to a 1-0 defeat. Peterborough United 8-0 against Lincoln United, 6-0 up at half-time. Braces for Jessica Razu, Lauren Wilshaw and Anna Pitt. They'd scored 2 inside the first 5 minutes. Kaylee Hines also popping up with 1, and Freya Anderson off the substitutes bench for Peterborough United. They beat Lincoln United by 8-0. Stourbridge also struggling to adjust to life back in Tier 4. They lose 5-0 to Notts County. Emily Brett had put the away side in front just 2 minutes in. Evelyn Brooks in the 16th and the 77th minute. Shaniqua Barnes in the 32nd minute. Tony McHamilton rounding off the scoring in the 89th minute. Worcester City with a 1-0 win over Sutton Coldfield Town. Jessica Fassnidge with the only goal of the game in the 38th minute. But the game of the day, anywhere in the FAWNL, became at Boldmere St Michael's, who beat Barnsley Women's by 5-4, and they finished with just 10. Goals for Barnsley Women: Millie Fugler, Helen Linsky, and 2 for Charlotte Stewart. For Boldmere St Michael's, 2 for Laura Cooper, 1 for Jade Formerston, 1 for Janelle Stracker, who then also saw red 13 minutes from the end, and then Leonie Joyce with the other goal for Boldmere St Michael's, what would prove to be the winning goal of the game for Boldmere St Michael's. And then the other game in Division 1 Midlands, Leafield Athletic beating Sheffield by 2-1. Hannah Fishwick had put them ahead early in the 6th minute before Halima Esser equalised for Sheffield 6 minutes later. Then Evangeline Gallup, 7 minutes from time, gave Leafield Athletic the win. The Division 1 Midlands table then, Peterborough United, Boldmere St Michael's and Leafield Athletic, all 2 for 2. Peterborough United, top of the table after that big win over Lincoln United, means their goal difference is far ahead of anybody else's. And then again, a big group: Notts County, Barnsley Women, Sutton Coldfield Town, Sheffield, Northampton Town and Worcester City, all on 3 points from their 2 games. Then there are 3 teams yet to get off the mark. Kidderminster Harriers in 10th on a goal difference of -2, Stourbridge in 11th on a goal difference of -7, and Lincoln United in 12th with a goal difference of -11. Time then to hear from some of the people involved in those results from the weekend, starting with the winning side of the Worcester City Sutton Coldfield Town game. Here's goal scorer and captain Jess Fassnidge and vice captain Cerys Dolloway with Kevin Moore.
Okay, Georgetown Switchboard, I've got Cerys Dolloway and Jess Fassnidge from Worcester City. Jess, Cerys, congratulations, 3 points this afternoon. Good to get 3 points on the board. 1-0 victory today against Sutton Coldfield Town. Jess, we'll talk about your goal in a bit more detail in a moment, actually. But so you, Cerys, actually. Back to winning ways. First 3 points of the season, and after it's been a tough first part of the campaign with the league match against Barnsley, and also, the League Cup game against Cheltenham as well. Did have much recovery time after the game against Cheltenham, really, to prepare for this game at Six Ways. But overall, you must be really pleased with the whole team performance this afternoon, Cerys.
Yeah, definitely really pleased. I think obviously, as you said, tough loss against Barnsley, but I think even though we lost on Thursday against Cheltenham, we showed some really promising bits of play there so that we could know that we could bring in on Sunday today, and we really showed some resilience and hard work to get the 3 points.
Hot conditions, Jess, and let's talk about your goal to begin with first. Lead up to the goal was really important because Annie Highway, great cross from Annie Highway for you to slot home with the head to put it past her, Neve Jones as well. But I think it's very telling that your entire midfield worked really, really hard this afternoon, Jess.
Yeah, it was a hot one, but equally it's hot for both teams, and I think both teams come into this clash today knowing how important it would be to get 3 points. So I think to get the 3 points and get the clean sheet, that's also a really important thing to bring up. I thought the back line were superb, 10-15 minutes on the clock when it was warm and quite a lot of transitioning for both teams. I think we handled and coped with the pressure extremely well at the back. So I think, absolutely amazing that we got the 3 points, but I think the back line and Jodie in particular definitely need a big shout out.
Lots of changes, Cerys, in the squad. It does happen, doesn't it, in the nature of football where, players get retained, other players come in as well. But you've got some notable names I don't know so much about compared to previous seasons, but I'm going to pick out some names for her I think made a big impression on the game this afternoon, in particular number 29, Kay Haggett. She's worked really hard. I believe she's come for the reserves, is that right?
Yes, she has. She has been absolutely phenomenal. She's really kicked on and shown herself as to why she should be on the pitch and why she should be starting, and versatility as well to be on right wing and then suddenly play right back as well.
But you've got players who can be utility players, can play more than one position, Cerys.
Yes, yeah, we do. Things might happen in games that you can't control and you might have to fill into a different position. So I think we do have a lot of versatility around the pitch, which is really good.
Jess, a signpost for you to have a few words on as well. Your colleague, number 12, number Charlotte Poole, today played really well as well. Had a couple of chances herself. It went for 2 good saves by the Sutton keeper, Neve Jones. Cerys picked on the point that you got players who can play them all one position. Has that been one of the key things that Matt Jones want to explain to the entire squad this summer as part of the pre-season, saying we sometimes need to mix things up a little bit and sometimes you might need to play more than natural sort of traditional role for the entire 90 minutes for the team?
Yeah, I think it's probably a really hard task for the coaching staff because we've got excellent technical players and you've only got 10 outfield positions to fill. And when you've got a squad where anyone could play, I think it's been a real challenge for them to figure out, well, what's our best formation? What's our best starting lineup? Who fits in well in what positions? So yeah, we've got loads of players who are extremely versatile. And I think just touching on the Charlotte point again, she's a 16-year-old young player who's come in at National League level, and I think she's just been superb. Her footwork out on the wing today to try and get in behind, to try and create things, try and get shots off on goal. I think she's been superb. But I think equally players like Evie Billingsley, she was obviously with us at the back end of last season. A little bit older, more experienced, but equally, I'm always in awe when I watch Evie because she's just ridiculous on the ball. She gets into those pockets, she can turn on the ball, she can drive, she can do anything. So she's probably one of those players that's extremely versatile that you could probably put her anywhere. But again, it's probably a really hard thing for the coaching staff. I don't envy them. I wouldn't want to be in their position to try and pick what the best 11 might be. But equally, it's not the 11 that win games and win championships or trophies or succeed toward the club's goals for the season. It's the entire squad. You need everyone, and the last week's definitely shown that with 3 games in 8 days.
Let's go back to your goal for a moment, actually, Jess, because a good header from yourself, but also I think Billingsley and Highway, the work they did instead of the cross for yourself, a great header from yourself to put the ball in the back of there anyway. But was that an example of the sort of work you work on the training pitch?
Yeah, do you know what's actually quite funny is we were set up for a corner, and the routine and set piece that we'd actually been practicing, Highwood completely forgot. So I'm trying to obviously dictate, right, we're going to do this set piece that we've tried, and it went completely wrong. But hey, that's football, it happens. But look, do you know what? Annie Highwood put it on a plate for me. It was the perfect ball in. It doesn't matter who was there, me or another one of our players, anyone would have finished it. She'd put it on a plate perfectly.
Absolutely fantastic finish from yourself there, Jess. Cerys, back to you for a moment then. The work continues, of course. Not much rest on for the next forthcoming fixtures. It is an interesting few weeks, of course. You have the National League Cup matches on the horizon as well. But back here with Leafield at Six Ways next Sunday. Then Kiddie, local derby, National League Cup match as well. A lot of spice for that game as well, with it being a local derby and a National League Cup game. Bournemouth on the horizon, Peterborough, then Birmingham City Academy. It comes thick and fast now, doesn't it, with the National League Cup matches and the league fixtures as well. How does the squad feel about, and from your point of view as well, Cerys, how do you feel about the mixture of National League Cup games and league games so quickly in this first 6 weeks of the season?
Yeah, obviously it's a bit of a whirlwind. We've got to obviously have squad rotations and look after the squad because, as Fass said, it's a squad game. It's not the starting 11. It's you as a squad. So making sure that everyone's prepped and ready for all the games that come ahead, really.
Looking forward to the challenge of it's increased pressure. There's you've got to play on average twice a week for a good 6 week period on average. Increased amount of preparation time for the game as well. With your training sessions as well. It's a lot to take on, a lot to organise, isn't it really? But are you looking forward to the actual cut and thrust and the excitement of the momentum of playing football quite a lot for the next sort of 6 weeks of the campaign?
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? We all love to play football. So yes, we might have less time to recover, but we do those things as well as we can do as a team.
It's all about the preparation, really, is it? Because as long as you look after yourselves in between the games properly, all the science and all the coaching, all the strategy can all fall into place, can't it, really? But final you actually, Jess, clubs learnt so much from last season, your debut season in the National League in Tier 4. The setup we know is really positive going forward. I know the work's going off the pitch as well that helps support the first team as well. You're feeling very confident that the structure's now in place, that the club can actually progress and be a more stronger outfit this season?
Yeah, definitely. Look, you're always going to bring in new players and you're going to always have current players that depart, and that's part and parcel of football. We've obviously got a fantastic infrastructure in place off pitch, so now we need to do our work on the pitch and really focus on trying to finish as high as we possibly can. But with that being said, I actually think this league's probably going to be harder than last season. I think the teams that have left are nowhere near compared to the comparison to the ones that have either dropped in or been promoted. I think you add in like a Kiddie Harriers. Equally, they might have come up, but they're still a rival for a reason. And I think any game we've played them, if we looked at the statistics, we've probably not won as many as we'd liked in the last 4 to 5 years against them. So that's going to obviously make a huge battle of a game for both sides. So look, I think it's going to be an extremely hard season, and we're speaking to some of the Sutton girls as well. And I think they feel it, and football can change very fast. Managers can come and go, players can come and go. But I think if we can just stick to kind of what our standard of performance is that we've set as players off the pitch, on the pitch as well, I think there's no reason why we can't be successful.
Yes, that was Jess Fassnidge and Cerys Dolloway speaking to Kevin Moore after that 1-0 win over Sutton Coldfield Town. Someone else pleased to pick up the first win of the season was the Worcester City head coach Matt Jones, and he also spoke to Kevin after the game.
Matt, congratulations. 1-0 victory against Sutton Coldfield Town. 3 points on the board. First 3 points of the National League season. Spoke to your colleagues Jess and Cerys about this similar sort of point. It's been a difficult first week with both league and cup matches. They come thick and fast, don't they? But overall, I'm really pleased with the performance. A real professional performance from start to finish, Matt, from your point of view.
Yeah, really pleased. It's difficult for everybody in the National League. Tier 3, Tier 4, 3 games in 8 days. But I said on a previous interview this time last week, you've got to flip it, is what it is. Yeah. If you're going to play National League, you've got to be prepared for it. Not just technically and tactically, but physically. So this week has been a real challenge to select the right pieces of the jigsaw, who's going to play what games, start, come on, etc., to manage the physical load. In terms of today, I'm really happy, really pleased. And the 2 things that probably stand out for me are, 1, dominating possession in the first half. We were new kids on the block last year. Sutton are a couple of years ahead of us in terms of them being established, and got a lot of respect for Harry and his staff. We always knew that it was going to be a close game, but for us to dominate possession at home, Six Ways is a good sized pitch. We need to make it work for us, especially on a hot day, and that was proven in the number of final third entries we had, penalty box entries. Maybe we didn't maximise the service that we were giving into that penalty box, but that's something for us to work on. And the second thing that really pleased me was towards the back end of the game, when it's on a knife edge at 1-0, we managed the scoreboard. So psychologically tapping into the players when they're operating on fumes. We've introduced 4 out of 5 game changes because we felt that's what the game needed. It was really pleasing that as a squad we've been able to see the game through and not only win the game and secure our first 3 points, but a clean sheet as well, which is credit to the whole team.
Absolutely. I mean, the spine there is very important. Players like Norrie Edwards, we know her quality, don't we? Matt Norrie Edwards, Evie Billingsley coming back defending as well. She's a traditional number 9, but gets back and tracks back as well. So you've got players who know where they've got to come back and help out, do the dirty work for 9 minutes. They'll do it to keep the clean sheets, won't they, Matt?
Yeah, and I feel like it would be unfair to name individual players because I should be naming all of them.
They've all worked really hard today, haven't they?
They have, and in this heat that's hard. I mean, I've just stood in the heat the other side in the dugout and it looks like I've worked for 90 minutes, but I haven't, or maybe I have, but in a different way as a coach. But I'll also lift out a player like Cerys. Cerys lives and breathes the values of this club like Jess Fass does. She's vice captain and she's had a really good partnership with Naya. This is a new group, and I know a lot of head coaches say that at this time of the year. We've got pre-existing players like Evie who came in during the season and she's really bought into the Worcester City Women way. We're spearheaded by Jess Fass, who's led from the front today, and that's her job. I don't need to say well done to Jess for being a good leader because she is. She knows that's her job. But it's great for her to get on the scoreboard because she's a goal scorer at heart. She also puts a shift in out of possession and she organises the spine of the team. But then she also can be sacrificed at times because we had to put her out on the right because there was a couple of injuries unexpected. Kay having to go off with a muscular strain. So again, you have to move your chess pieces around a little bit, and Jess was really good at adapting. Charlotte on the left, she's 16, Layla's 16, Clara's 16. The future of this club, if we're able to retain these players, is really bright, because to have that many players under the age of 18 and play so maturely is really reassuring. It's
a good point though, isn't it, Matt? Because you've got players who are getting Tier 4 experience. You said there that they're very young people, very young players, aren't they, really? It's good to see in the last 12 months, so there's been changes where you've got options now to pick more young players on the bench to begin with, because you can actually go for younger players in your setup as well to get that taste of tier 4 football, Matt. Could it bode well for the club going forward this season, really, can't it?
It can, yeah, and we have a great reserves underneath and under 18s feeding into that, and of course you've got to widen your scope. That said, we want to make sure that talent's coming from the postcodes of Worcestershire. We want to make sure that we are feeding players into the pathway and we're giving them an opportunity, which we are. Equally, it's my job to balance which players are ready, because there's only so many players we can take on a chance. And yes, we're as much about player development as we are competing. It's about striking that balance. But yeah, delighted with the young players and how they've fitted in over the last few weeks and months. And that's credit not just to the senior players who have all worked really hard to make sure the environment's inviting, but all the staff in the background who don't get enough mentions for me.
And on the horizon then, the games come thick and fast at Leafield next week here at Six Ways. We know they've strengthened. A lot of teams have strengthened this season, haven't they, Matt, really? But let's get your thoughts and your take from manager manager and a coach's perspective on like the games coming thick and fast now, because National League Cup, a new format this season as we know, and you've had a taste of it already with the game against Cheltenham, but you've got Leafield next week, matches on the rise include Peterborough, and also got Birmingham City Academy in the National League Cup. So thick and fast the games come now. Does that give you a real opportunity to really assess where your squad is going into maybe late September, early October?
Yeah, the short answer to that is yes. I mean, what head coach wouldn't look to rotate the squad when it's necessary, but it's trying to select the right players for the right games.
Yeah.
And sometimes there might be 3 games consecutively, other times it gets a bit bitty for a player, which is where they have to take care of their conditioning. But I've said on interviews before, since I came into this post, I'm big on the squad mentality. You can't compete in the National League, the League Cup, the County Cup, and try and get as far as you can in the FA Cup without having a squad of 20 to 24 players. Bare 16 won't even do. So players need to buy into squad mentality. And Kirsty Bridgewater's on the bench today as a reserve goalkeeper. She is part of the reason why we secured a position in this league, because she came in brilliantly towards the back end of last season and more than played her part. We've signed Cerys from Forest Green. Cerys today has sacrificed, she's missed out, but she was there if we needed her, and she's at the end there sprinting her socks off. And next week's game might be more acclimatised to what she can offer. So that squad mentality is really, really key. It's interesting you say the games come thick and fast, because this week it's felt like that. Next week feels, I don't want to say like a holiday, but to have 2 training sessions Tuesday, Thursday, and then have a game seems more normal.
A more regular week, isn't it, really? Yeah.
It is, yeah. And Kidderminster are not far behind there when we play them in the League Cup, and we know that's always a great game to contest, and they've recruited well. So, yeah, we've got to be prepared, we've got to keep working hard, and we've got to stay consistent. That's key.
Matt Jones there speaking to Kevin Moore here on Switch Radio. Plenty more to come on this week's Women's Football Chat before 6 p.m. this evening right here on Switch Sport. Now, this is the Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio. Chris Gadsby with you here through until 6 o'clock this evening when Andrew Richards takes over with his Alternative 80s show. Before we move on from Division 1 Midlands, let's hear from the other dugout from that Worcester City Sutton Coldfield Town game. Here's Harry Rowe, the Sutton Coldfield Town manager, with Josh Piervasana.
Harry, 1-0 defeat versus Worcester City. Can you tell me your initial thoughts on today's game after the midweek defeat as well in the cup?
Yeah, disappointed about today. I think that we first half started really, really slowly. I think that we gave Worcester too much credit, and we were really poor first half. I said it to the girls at half time. I think that we were lucky to go in 1-0 down at the break. If it weren't for Neve Jones in between the sticks, we would have really, really struggled today. And I think she was crucial in keeping us in the game. Let's not make 2 bones about it. Frustrating. Really disappointed with the way we played, the way we applied ourselves. We looked like we lacked a sort of a next year. You can't really blame the 3-game week when Worcester also played a 3-game week, and I have to credit to Worcester, they were better than us today. They deserved to win, they deserved the 3 points, and although we showed a reflection in the second half and we had a reaction and we were more positive, we certainly really struggled today, and we have to be better.
You mentioned it there, giving credit to Worcester City, who came out the blocks absolutely flying this afternoon.
We were poor, and with us being poor, it gave us an opportunity, and all credits, and they took it. They were really good. They moved the ball really, really well. Their rotations were brilliant. They got in the right spaces. They found the right pockets, and they caused us lots of problems. And it weren't until a tactical tweak at half time that I felt we really actually had a foothold in the game. And until that point, it was probably a little bit lacklustre from us. And when you're poor, it only reflects in giving the opportunity a chance. And the other team, to be fair, Worcester in Tier 4, they're going to take their chance. And when you give them that much respect, they took it. And we have to deal with that. We have to be better, and we have to make sure that moving forwards we don't allow that to happen.
Worcester having lots of possession early in the game and also creating lots of early chances, but just also mentioned it that if you do that in this tier, you are going to get punished. Can you tell me how you're going to look to put that right in training in the coming weeks?
It's really important about sort of how we set up. We were a little bit standoffish today. We were a little bit lacklustre to go and press, lacklustre to go and pick our moments really, really well, and resulted in them dominating the ball. We also were poor in possession, especially first half. I think second half we were better. I don't think we were brilliant, but I think we were better. But at the end of the day, we didn't do enough to warrant winning the game. We created some chances, and if we'd have snatched a point, it would have been a snatch of a point. It wouldn't have been a deserved point. Yeah, we'll go away, we'll work. I know we've got Peterborough next, who are going to be really difficult, and we'll push towards that, and we'll have to analyse a few things. We might change a few things and tweak a few things, but yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting one. We're going to have to work hard, and the girls know that. The girls are willing to work hard. They are a brilliant group, and we've just got to keep pushing.
You've mentioned it there, you've got Peterborough coming up next weekend. Following that, you've got Sporting Calcio in the Cup. How are you finding the Cup games and then the league games coming so thick and fast at this time of the season?
Yeah, it's early in the season. We want to play as many games as possible. We want to, challenge ourselves against everyone and anyone. And it's going to be a tough few weeks. I know we've got Posh Nets, we've got Towser after that, and then we've got Notts County that are going to also be just as good and just as threatening. So we have to prepare. We will. I know it's a cliche, but we'll take it one game at a time. We'll focus on Posh for now. We'll reflect on today. We'll figure out a game plan. We'll figure out a strategy, and we'll go and put that to work and see how we get on there. Then we'll move on after that. But we have to take it one game at a time. We're only 2 games into the season, and 1 win from 2 is not a bad record. We would like it to be more. We would have liked to pick up points today, and we should have, in my opinion, looking at it on paper, picked up points. But you can't take anything for granted in this league, and we know that. We'll plan it each game at a time. We'll focus on Posh for now, and we'll move forwards.
You mentioned it there as well. Neve Jones, credit to her for keeping Sutton in the game at times. Potentially just before half-time there, she made the 2-3 really good saves. If you're looking at a 1-0 deficit at half-time, you can come back from that. But if you know if it's 3-0 at half-time, what would the difference have been in the team talk there?
I think I told the girls at half time, I said we're lucky. We were lucky it was 1-0, and I said they've got Neve Jones to thank for that. She was superb today. She was probably our best player on the pitch in terms of keeping us in the game. She made some really, really good saves. She kept us in it for large periods of that first half, and Neve's brilliant. She's a brilliant goalkeeper. She's got so much quality, and when she's really, really in form, she's a really tough shot stopper to beat. So all credit. I know she's got the quality there, and it kept us in the game, and on another day maybe we snatch a point, and we're thanking Neve Jones for that.
Early in the second half, Jodie Price picked up a yellow card, and then we seen shortly after that she was substituted. Was that a precautionary measure due to the yellow card?
Yeah, Jodie's put a challenge in. She's mistimed it. She's been booked. It's they were always going to punish that. They were going to threaten that, and I had to make sure that we looked after Jodie and protected her. Jodie's a brilliant player, and we don't want to lose her for 2, 3, 4 weeks. We want to make sure that we keep her in the squad. So yeah, certainly it was a precautionary error, but I think it was also a tactical one. I think when Eldiz came on, I thought she was really, really good. I thought she got on the ball. I thought she drove. She was direct. She had a point to prove, and she proved it. I think she provided some energy, some little bit more sort of meaningfulness in terms of going forwards. So although it was a precautionary measure on one hand, it was certainly an improved tactical change that meant that we could push a little bit more.
Ultimately, Jess Fassnidge, with what proved to be the winning goal from great cross from Annie Highway, failed to be dealt with by Sutton. Are you ultimately frustrated, also looking that you could have done better at the same time?
Yeah, I think we have to be frustrated. We were poor. I've said it from the start. We weren't good, especially first half. Second half, I was pleased with the reaction. It wasn't quite enough, and I would have liked a better reaction in terms of that last 10 minutes where we really wanted to push. But we did have a reaction. We progressed into the game a little bit and started getting the ball a little bit more. But at the end of the day, we weren't at the races. We weren't good enough, and we have to deal with that. We have to push forwards, and we have to make sure that moving forwards we don't give teams a chance in this league. So we'll go away, we'll work on it, and fair credit to Jess from the set piece for the goal.
That was Matt Jones speaking after Sutton Coldfield Town's 1-0 defeat to Worcester City last weekend, which leaves Sutton Coldfield Town in 6th, Worcester City in 9th in the Division 1 Midlands table. Let's move on then to Division 1 South East, where Actonians were defeated by 3-2 at home to Fulham. Fulham getting all their scoring done in the first half. Lily Stevens in the 20th minute, Jade Bradley in the 30th, and Katie Dungate in the 44th minute. 2 goals for Vivian Rutgers for Actonians, 13th and 70th minute. Cambridge United beat Luton Town by 5-0. Courtney Ward-Chambers saw red for Luton Town in this game. But Cambridge United, 2 for Jade Bell. Doesn't matter what team she's on, she will pop up with goals. 44th and 88th minute. Kimberly Farrow in the 19th. Mia Richards in the 42nd. Zoe Wood in the 90th minute for Cambridge United. Big win for them. Dulwich Hamlet beating Cheshire United by 2-0. Lauren Herrier in the 11th. Natalie Taylor in the 17th. But the biggest win comes to London Bees against AFC Sudbury. 8-2. London Bees were victorious by a brace for Samantha Gabbion, Betty Larkin and Aria Heel. And also one for Megan Burrows and Brion Fowle. So plenty of goals for London Bees. Leonie Besant and Frankie Pym, the goal scorers for AFC Sudbury. But a big 8-2 victory, which will do the goal difference a world of good for London Bees. Queen's Park Rangers losing at home to Norwich City by 2-0. Freya Simmons and Isabel Moore, the goal scorers for Norwich City. And then in the slightly later kickoff, a 2:30 kickoff, Chatham Town beat Milton Keynes Dons by 3-2, despite finishing the game with 10. Jasmine Auguste sent off in that game. But Carisha Eaton in the 9th minute, Lottie May Sharp in the 5th minute, 2 very early goals for Chatham Town really did set the tone in this one, because there was just no real way back for MK Dons after that. The other goal for Chatham Town came to Lottie Sharp as well in that game. Oh, sorry, I said Lottie Sharp. So the film is Full Time only has 2 of the goals recorded, so I had to go and find the third myself, my own stats. Amelia Woodgate with the other goal for Chatham Town. MK Dons, Molly Knox and Molly Lemon with the goals for Milton Keynes Dons. What that means then for the Division 1 South East table, there are 4 sides who have 2 from 2. London Bees, Norwich City, Chatham Town and Fulham all have 2 out of 2. In Division 1 South East, there are then 4 teams, Queen's Park Rangers, Cambridge United, Dulwich Hamlet and Luton Town, that have got 3 points from their first 2 games, and then 4 teams, Actonians, Cheshire United, MK Dons and AFC Sudbury, who are yet to get off the mark. AFC Sudbury at the bottom of the table with a goal difference of -10. Milton Keynes Dons in 11th with a goal difference of -8, and then Cheshire United with a goal difference of -6, safe at the moment. Moving through then finally to Division 1 South West. Abingdon United losing heavily to Swindon Town by 6-1. Braces here for Swindon to Annabelle Colston and Helen Diaz-Butcher, and also a goal for Isabel Cook and Gypsy Vivace for Swindon mate. They were 6-1 winners. Mimi Hodges with a consolation goal for Abingdon United in the 95th minute. Ascot United and Moneyfields met for the second time in a week, and as for the second time they played out a draw, although this one was 1-1 rather than the 0-0 they had in the Cup. Beth Burgess in the 55th minute, Beth Lloyd in the 59th minute equalised for Ascot United. Bridgewater United played out a 0-0 draw with Bristol Rovers. Maidenhead United 1, Keynsham Town 1. Macy Nakia Walters in the 40th minute, Brooke Stirrup in the 41st minute. Shared the spoils there, Maidenhead United taking the lead, but that only lasting for a minute before Keynsham equalised. And a great result for Marine Academy Plymouth, 4-0 over Portishead Town. 2 in the first 10 minutes. Samantha Drury 6 minutes in, then Elizabeth Overton 8 minutes in, put them 2-0 up before Portishead Town really had a chance to settle into the game. Drury then added her second before half time, before then Carmen Morrison popped up in the second half to make it 4-0 for Marine Academy Plymouth. In the late kickoff, Bournemouth Sports got a 2-1 win away at Worthing. Leanna Falkenstern in the 24th and the 54th minute. Amber Hazelwood for Worthing in the 47th minute, the only goal for them. In the southwest table then, it's Swindon Town who take top spot with 2 wins from 2. Moneyfields are second, Keynsham Town third, and Bristol Rovers fourth with a win and a draw from their first 2 games. Marine Academy Plymouth, Worthing, Abingdon United and Bournemouth Sports all have 3 points from their 2 games to take 5th through 8th. Ascot United, Bridgewater United and Maidenhead United all have 1 point and are 9th, 10th and 11th, with Portishead Town the only side in Division 1 South West yet to get off the mark, and they have a goal difference of -5. So still plenty to come on this week's Women's Football Chat. We are going to go now and have a look at the fixtures that we've got coming up in the next week, as it's another full programme in the FAWNL. So we'll start with the Northern Premier Division then. Burnley against Loughborough Lightning. Alluded to it at the start of the show. Loughborough Lightning may well be chomping at the bit to go to Burnley now with all their troubles that they've had this week. Halifax are at home to Sporting Cowser. Sporting Cowser in 11th at the minute. Halifax in mid-table. But of course it is still such early days that doesn't mean a great deal at this point. West Bromwich Albion travel to Liverpool Feds. They are in 8th and 9th at the moment. Middlesbrough against Derby County. They're in 10th and 12th at the moment. Stoke City make hosts to Hull City. So Stoke down in 7th. Hull City top of the table. Can Hull make it 3 from 3? And then another stern test for Wolves. They got a draw with Burnley at home. They've now got to travel to Rugby Borough, who are currently second in the table. Wolves in 4th. Another big test for Dan McNamara's side. Southern Premier Division. AFC Bournemouth against Exeter City. Those two big rivals in Division 1 South West a couple of years ago have both made their way into the Southern Premier Division, and they now take each other on. Bournemouth top of the table, Exeter very firmly in mid-table at the moment. AFC Wimbledon down in 10th are hosting second place Watford. Cheltenham Town against Oxford United is 6th against 4th. Gwalior United against Hashtag United. Long trip for Hashtag, and they haven't had the greatest of starts to the season. Meanwhile, Gwalior United, coming off that 8-1 win against Billericay Town, will certainly have their tails up. Lewis against Real Bedford, 3rd against 9th. And Plymouth Argyle against Billericay Town is 8th against bottom of the table Billericay. And that's another long trip for Billericay Town. They've got to really try and get some points on the board early on. How will the new manager be able to help them do that? Division 1 North, two newly promoted sides, Chester Street Town and Wythenshawe, meet each other. Wythenshawe got that first win last weekend. Chester Street Town still looking for their first points of the campaign. Chorley against Durham Sestra. Chorley down in 10th at the moment. Durham Sestra in 6th with one of those teams on 3 points. Doncaster Rovers Bells against Blackburn Rovers is 4th against 11th. Huddersfield Town against York City. Huddersfield Town currently in 5th. York City down in 9th, but they do both have 3 points with a win and a loss from their opening 2 games. Leeds United against Cheadle Town Stingers. Those are the two sides that a lot of people have pipped to be really fighting for promotion in Division 1 North. Will be interesting to see how Cheadle do away at Leeds United, 2nd versus 3rd. And Stockport County, the other side, as well as Cheadle, who have 2 wins from 2, take on Norton and Stockton Ancients, who are currently down in 7th, but again are one of those many teams on 3 points. Division 1 Midlands, Kidderminster Harriers against Notts County. Kidderminster down in 10th, Notts County in 4th. Lincoln United not had a good start to the season. They take on Barnsley Women's, who are currently in 5th. Our feature commentary on Switch Radio is Northampton Town against Boldmere St Michael's. Both teams are looking to have a good season this season. Boldmere, 2 wins from 2. Northampton were up there challenging last year. They'll want to do the same again. Excuse me. And they have a win and a loss from their opening 2 games. Sheffield against Stourbridge. Stourbridge coming down from Tier 3. Sheffield going up from Tier 5, and it's Sheffield who had the better start to the season. Sutton Coldfield Town against Peterborough United. That'll be a tough test for Sutton Coldfield Town. They're currently in mid-table. Peterborough top of the table, and of course had that big win against Lincoln United last week. Worcester City against Leafield Athletic, 9th against 3rd. Tash Tesdrill's side will be looking for a good away win to keep their 100% record for as long as possible. Division 1 South West, Cambridge United against Dulwich Hamlet. Cambridge United mid-table, Dulwich Hamlet mid-table. It is literally 6 against 7th in Division 1 South East. Towards the bottom, Chesham United against AFC Sudbury, 10th against 12th. One of those sides at least will get their first points of the season this weekend. Fulham against Norwich City, 2 100% records, so at least one will go this weekend. Second place Norwich go to fourth place Fulham. Luton Town against Actonians is 8th against 9th. Luton Town with points on the board, Actonians without yet, and they will be looking to change that this weekend. Milton Keynes Dons, they are at home. They're in the relegation zone at the moment. They're taking on London Bees, who are currently top of the table with a goal difference of 10 and a 100% record. So London Bees will be looking to pile more misery onto Milton Keynes Dons early on in this season. And Chatham Town in third against Queen's Park Rangers in fifth. Chatham with a 100% record as well. Will that survive until next week? Finally, Division 1 South West. Abingdon United against Marine Academy Plymouth. Abingdon United are currently in 7th. Marine Academy Plymouth in 5th. Bristol Rovers against Bournemouth Sports is 4th against 8th. Keynsham Town against Bridgewater United 3rd against 10th. Maidenhead United against Worthing. Maidenhead currently in the relegation zone but only by a single goal. Worthing in mid-table with a win and a loss from their first 2 games. Portshead Town, bottom of the table, yet to get off the mark. The only team yet to do so in Division 1 South West. They take on Moneyfields, who are second with a win and a draw from their first 2 games. And a tough test for Ascot United away at Swindon Town. Swindon with 2 wins out of 2. Ascot United with just a point from their 2 games in the league. But they will be buoyed by having 2 draws in a week against Moneyfields, who a lot of people have also tipped to challenge for promotion from Division 1 South West. So Ascot United will not go down without a fight. And that will about do it for this week's episode of the Women's Football Chat. Thank you very much for joining me this week. As I said, we have got coverage of Northampton Town against Boldmere St Michael's on Switch Radio. The programme beginning from 1:55 on Sunday afternoon for you as Northampton Town take on Boldmere St Michael's. The Alternative 80 show with Andrew Richards is with you after the news at 6, and I'll be back at the same time next week, and maybe we'll have even more league tables to go through for you. It depends if the league decide to put them up. Thank you very much for joining me, and goodbye.